Meanwhile, 24 minutes before the top of the hour, Medal of Honor recipient Dakota Meyer said Ted Cruz has his support for president. Here's his explanation, because he's a military guy.
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so. I wish it was. I wish the first time it was done correctly.
That's not really the soundbite we're looking for, but it is a precursor to what we will be discussing. He came out strongly for Ted Cruz. He feels like he's going to be strong in defense. And on February 12th, I think he was out there in South Carolina and will be again. Meanwhile, let's meet our veteran panel here to talk about where this country's heading. Carl Higbee's playing center square. He's a Navy SEAL and Trump supporter. Anu Barghouti is a founder of Servicewomen's Action Network and retired Marine captain and a Hillary Clinton supporter. And then Katie Horgan is a retired Marine Corps captain and Bush supporter. So here we are with candidates, none of which have a military background. Can we start with you, Katie? Why do you feel as though Jeb's the best?
Well, I will start by responding to Dakota's endorsement. I think that Cruz, he can be incredibly polarizing. I think that's just not the kind of leadership we need in the country right now. I think Jeb has put forth a great platform to reform the economy, and he's also, to me, he's the only person that's indicated he can play the long game with national security and foreign policy. He's one of the few candidates that hasn't come out there and said things like, I'm going to rip up the Iran nuclear deal on day one. Diplomacy is very delicate, and I think that Jeb's been one of the few people that's actually acted like an adult up there.
Even though it might be better headlines to say, I'm going to rip it up from day one.
Exactly.
Okay, Carl, I know you're supporting Donald Trump. We've been at this before. So even though he does not have a military background and was saying that Russia should take care of ISIS even though they're not, he's still your guy.
Right, he's still my guy. And to what Katie was saying earlier about the Dakota Meyer thing, look, you get the Medal of Honor for being a real big hero on the battlefield. You don't get it for knowing the political field. I respect Dakota Meyer, but this is not going to help Ted Cruz. It's certainly not going to help Donald Trump. I mean, people are where they are. Donald Trump is the only person with the conviction. Like he took on Apple, he took on the Pope, he's taken on the Republican Party. He takes on everybody that is detriment to America, and that's what people get behind.
But Carl, couldn't he say the same thing about you? Dakota say about you, about policy?
He could. I mean, he could absolutely do it. And you know what? The fact of the matter is Donald Trump's leading for a reason.
Right. He is leading in all the polls. Anu, let's talk about you believing that Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's the best.
I do. I believe this is a dangerous world we're living in right now. I think all of us can agree on that. And Hillary Clinton is the only person with the global experience to really take on these threats. She's faced off with global leaders, with thugs. She's actually also spoken with these folks. And, to add to what Katie said, I mean, diplomacy is a skill which is necessary in the presidency.
Did she, wanting a reset with Russia and seeing that fail miserably and seeing what happened with Libya, saying let's go in, but there's no post-plan, does that make you say I should rethink this?
No, absolutely not. I mean, global threats, diplomacy, the world of international affairs is not easy. It's not going to be easy for any president, but she has proven that she can handle these issues.
But she can handle it or handle it wrong?
Well, there's not a single president who hasn't made a mistake over time, right? I mean, you hire advisors, you surround yourself with really smart people, you make the best decision you can, and she's somebody who has the most experience.
And Carl, let's now talk about Donald Trump. He was just on with us. A couple of things have happened since he came out and said, I've always been against the Iraq war. Number one, he talked to Howard Stern in 2002 and said, I guess I'm for it. Then with Neil Cavuto, he said, this is going to be not only good after the invasion happened, it's going to be great for Wall Street. And now we see in his book in 2000, he quotes it saying, 6 years of tough talk and U.S. fireworks in Baghdad have done little to slow Iraq's crash program to become a nuclear power. He says, I'm no warmonger, but the fact is, if we decide to strike against Iraq as necessary, it is madness not to carry the mission to its conclusion.
Right. I mean, but he says he's no warmonger. He's not in support of it. I mean, look, I guess so on the Howard Stern program isn't going to do it. Look, Donald Trump's going to win South Carolina either way. And I tell you what, the voters out there in South Carolina, get out and vote. And if you do, I'll come back here and do a backflip on set if they let me.
Right. And absolutely. And you fought in Iraq, so you know that intimately. And you should be very proud of what you did. And so should everybody watching right now. And I think they shouldn't fall victim to getting caught in the rhetoric of politics. In 2012, that war was won. Here is Donald Trump responding to that with us earlier.
In 2003, it's all over the place that I was saying we shouldn't be in Iraq, we shouldn't go into Iraq, get the hell out of Iraq, and we certainly should have. Look, it was one of the great catastrophes in the history of our country, the Iraq War. It led to all of the problems we have right now in the Middle East, or most of them. And it was a mistake, okay? It was a mistake. I was not in favor of it. I was against it. I was against it in 2003. I'm glad they found the interview with Joe Scarborough, but even regardless of that, it was something we should not have been involved with.
Katie, is that okay with you?
I just don't agree with him using, retroactive criticism of a very complex conflict as his foreign policy experience. I just really don't agree with him using that as a soundbite. All he does is talk in soundbites. It's just one more for him, and it really just continues to discredit him in my mind.
But Jeb couldn't decide either way when he first came out whether his brother's right or wrong.
Right, but I mean, the fact that he's using it in his campaign as evidence of his foreign policy experience, I mean, he's not in the middle of it. He didn't have skin in the game. This is kind of after the fact, and I don't really think that's fair.
But I do think that in the big, go ahead.
Trump is primarily an entertainer. He's a phenomenal entertainer. I love watching him, but he is not a statesman, and we need a statesman in the White House.
But Anu, I will say this: anyone who thinks he's entertaining should go check out his website. He's got detailed programs and plans on like 6 major issues, from his tax plan on down.
He has no governing experience.
Exactly.
He doesn't have any governing experience. Business does not qualify you for the presidency, and being a great entertainer certainly does not qualify
And what
you
does
for the
Hillary
presidency.
want? What does she run?
What does she run? She's been a senator for one of the largest states in the nation. She was Secretary of State. I mean, that in and of itself qualifies you above other candidates, particularly in a climate right now where we face global security threats every single day.
Right. I guess she's used to that. And just, I guess, how you respond to that would be the key. Real quick, as we head down, the #1 conflict that you think that we're facing right now?
Honestly, I think it's the economy that has domestic implications as well as wide-ranging international implications.
There's no economy if ISIS comes here and starts blowing stuff up, so that's the biggest threat.
Take on the offensive in the Middle East?
Offensive.
And
I think it's terrorism.
Terrorism here at home. And it would be great if we can get on top of the San Bernardino thing, at least open up an iPhone.
Yeah.
We'd show we're serious.
Which I loved what he did.
Thank you very much. Carl, Anu, and Katie, thanks so much for your service, and thanks so much for your time.